Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama. Welcome to our Paws On Animation channel and our podcast.
Yes, and today we're covering the third SpongeBob SquarePants movie, just called the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, which is a little different what this title suggests.
Yes, and this came out development began in 2015, and that developed after the release of SpongeBob Out of Water, or Sponge Out of Water. I keep saying SpongeBob Out of Water. So it was produced by Paramount, and it's a live-action, computer-generated combination movie that either works or doesn't work. So we're going to tell you whether it worked or not.
Right. Alright, so this one actually adopted a whole different look for the animation part of the movie. It was a lot more 3D. The first two movies were done in 2D and then usually turn to 3D when they're outside the water. Well, no, this time everything really is in 3D until maybe one scene in the movie where they're on land and they're in like the west or something. So that was one thing that stood out about it. And so for this one, it kind of takes from the SpongeBob episode Where's Gary and made like a grander scale, I guess, where Poseidon in here instead of Neptune, I don't know what happened to Neptune, takes Gary, and SpongeBob is traveling to the city of Atlantic City. It's like redundant a bit to go get him back.
Well, Neptune and Poseidon are actually the same.
Yeah, something like, wait a minute, where's what?
It depends on what myth you're saying. I think he has one name in one way and another. You either call him Poseidon one way and Neptune another, but they're actually the same character.
Right.
They're not in Greek mythology.
Right.
Here's what's interesting about this. Quickly. Directed by Tim Hill. Screenplay by Tim Hill. Story by Tim Hill. Plus,
oh my God,
these two names, and do you guys recognize these names? Jonathan Abel and Glenn Berger.
Wow.
They just worked on, they worked on the movie we just covered not too long ago, Ice Age.
Yes, isn't that ironic? Lines up perfectly. So, for this movie, it kind of reuses the plot from Where's Gary on a grander scale, and they still have the cast of characters with SpongeBob and Patrick, of course, being the main leads, Plankton being the villain trying to get the Krabby Patty formula every single movie now, Mr. Krabs and Squidward, and now a little more involvement from Sandy with the last two movies they did. And for here, they actually end up having more live action influence when it got to a certain part of the movie. And I will say it kind of hindered the film a little bit.
Especially with the appearance of more than Keanu Reeves, because we thought it was just going to be him. They ended up being also Danny Trejo and Snoop. And it's like, why are all these people in this movie?
Yeah, it's too many. It's too many. And what's getting to is when you had the first one, you had David Hasselhoff, which was like, oh my God. Right. Then the second movie, you end up having Antonio Banderas, who was the villain of the movie, which is okay. They actually upgraded.
Puss.
Right. And then here you had Keanu Reeves as a talking tumbleweed. It's like
the sage.
A sage. It all sort of fits. The name fits. And then there's a certain point, and you also, like you said, Danny Trejo and Snoop Dogg, and
they both appeared for less than 5 minutes.
But it was like, oh, look, this person makes an appearance. And then it pushed it even more. Tiffany Haddish did like a less than 5-minute appearance as an animated character. She said, I'm just here for the hell of it. And it's like, man, you're not even trying to hide that, just a paycheck now.
And he also had Aquafina. So yeah, it was just like a who's who can we get to appear in this movie. And I think that really showed up in how people accepted the movie, because this movie had a budget of $60 million.
$60 million.
And it made $4.8 million at the theater, so it was a complete and total box office failure.
Yeah, it was. And you can tell the difference with this movie and the last two. No offense to people who do really love the third one, but it's not really considered the best of the three. It's actually the weakest, because it's kind of copying the same formula for the first movie over and over, but without any charm or creativity or trying to spice things up. It's just sort of just copy and pasting, and now with this one changing the whole lore of the show by adding in the Camp Coral thing, where now everyone's practically the same age. They knew each other back in a summer camp, and they kind of grew up together now, which is a lot different what you see in the show.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of was disappointing because all those backstories just got tossed out the window, and it's like, here, we want you to say everyone's the same age except for Mr. Krabs. What?
Yeah, it's like, but they all look like they're different ages unless they've all been through some rough things, so...
They were all different ages originally. I think the expert for this is Playmaker, so let us know in the comments below, Playmaker.
Right.
But that was disappointing that they took that backstory that was canon and just threw it out the window.
Yeah, and a big part of why that's a deal for people is... When you had Stefan Hillenburg, he had a set of rules he had for his show. Originally, it was supposed to last this long, but Nickelodeon kept it going. One of the rules was that there was no backstory for really much of anybody. The most you had was how they met Sandy, and that was it.
Right.
But you weren't supposed to know how they got there. You weren't supposed to know the ages. You weren't supposed to have some of your backstory. No spin-offs. No asking how a Pearl and Mr. Krabs... daughter and father, you just accept it what it is. Right, it's just you accept it as it is and you keep going. But with this, there's a claim from the studio that Hillenburg was fine with it after he was sick and diagnosed with ALS, and they claim that was why they went ahead and started doing Camp Coral and the musical, which for that part is true. We saw a picture with him with some of the actors, and they claim he was okay with it near the end because he wouldn't be around to see it, so go ahead and make spin-offs. And we really don't know if that's true or not, but this is where it began before the Camp Coral's TV show. This is where it starts here, with showing all of them aged down all together in a summer camp. And unfortunately, it's just really... Now, I know some people actually do like it, a few, but it seems just so, like, generic to do for SpongeBob at summer camp in SpongeBob. They already did something like that, and they were grown adults going to camp.
The best thing to me in this movie, and the critics as well, were the special effects. It was nominated for Outstanding Animated Character and Animated Feature with at the 19th Visual Effects Society Awards. It also was nominated for 4 Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards in 2022.
Of course, yeah.
1 for Favorite Animated Movie and 3 for Favorite Voice Acting in Animated Movie. Tom Kenny, of course.
Yes.
Awkwafina and Keanu Reeves. But was it CGI?
Yeah, it kind of was CGI, like a blend of animation.
That was great. It looked fantastic. It was different for a SpongeBob movie because we hadn't seen that.
Right.
And they did a great job in bringing that out and making it something different.
Right.
That looked really good. So I have to say, it looked really good for the animated portion.
Right.
It was a lot at first because we're used to seeing the 2D. But
Right.
after a few minutes, it was like, okay, this isn't bad. This is pretty neat. And it looked really good.
Right.
So they did a good job on the animation.
Right. And another good part of the movie is that it was still fun. It was not the really fun and deep movie like the first one, and it wasn't a cop-out like the second one where they thought the whole movie was going to be live, half the movie was going to be live action and didn't go there until near the end. They did a segment like the first one and then went back underwater, but the movie stayed fun. You were still engaged with it. There were a few jokes that were kind of like meh, but there wasn't a point where you just wanted to turn off the movie or feel like you were wasting your time. You were still having a fun SpongeBob movie. It was just doing something different, especially with the casino part, which everyone loved, was the best part of the whole movie.
Very true. Poseidon and the Roman equivalent of Poseidon, as I did tell you, is Neptune.
Okay.
So there you go. It's the same person.
Yeah,
but for some reason they switched names within the SpongeBob universe. I don't know.
Yeah, like, well, having a Neptune. Okay, I guess.
But it was great, of course, hearing Tom Kenny. What was really odd is we thought the narrator was someone else.
Yeah.
Because he sounded different.
Right. And then it's at the end he was a fringe narrator. I was like, no, he wasn't. I know you're going to give him credit for the show, but that did not sound like him. He has a particular sound when you hear him in the show. And it's a bikini bottom. He didn't have that inflection in here, and I know he's older and he might sound a little different with some of these voices now, but majority of the time he sounds no different than he did from the time he started SpongeBob. And I find it hard to believe that he was the narrator in the beginning. Maybe at the end, but not the beginning.
Well, maybe they just got someone else because he wasn't available.
Maybe,
they didn't give that person credit. I don't know, but yeah, that was really, really odd.
Right.
Definitely.
But everyone was still performing really well in here. Keanu Reeves should have been like the only live action star in here.
And it would have been perfect if he had, because he was hilarious being Keanu Reeves.
Right. And it is something fun to watch, especially for the summer. We saw it actually twice, once in the summer, another time in the spring, because we had to review what happened in there to make sure we weren't mixing it with another film.
Right.
But it was still fun to watch. It's actually a pretty good summer movie. And didn't come out in summer because of the pandemic at the time it came out. And released everywhere online except the US, so go figure.
Yeah.
So if you do end up seeing this movie, definitely recommend to watch it when it's June or July, when it's the peak of summer. Yeah.
It's the peak of summer now, so watch it.
Right.
So if you've already seen the SpongeBob SquarePants Sponge Out of Water.
Well, the second one, now Sponge on the Run.
I know, I keep doing that. If you've seen Sponge on the Run, guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. Playmaker.
Right.
Did you love it? Did you hate it? Was it meh? Did you love the animation like we did? What did you think about the backstory revision? Let us know what you think. And if you haven't seen it, well, it's got to be airing on Nickelodeon at some point this summer, most likely. So just wait for it and you'll probably see it. If not, go to Paramount and watch it.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates, new videos, your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for your support. We really enjoy you joining us, and we sharing our joy of things we love. If you got something you want to see us review on a podcast, let us know in the comments below.
Yes. So thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And Mom Entertainment.
Have a toon-tastic day.
Peace.